Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Oh, wow. This is pissing me off. Just before we started this show, StreamYard completely crashed. I mean, not just its usual fuck up, it crashed. Everything crashed on it. I don't know if I'm the only one streaming right now that is having problems, but it crashed to the point where I had to restart everything and get back in. Let's make sure that the other stream is up. I don't know if everything else is going to go from the other stream, but hopefully, for those of you who do not have Disney Plus, you can watch it on Twitch if StreamYard is loading to Twitch. Taladia and well, that was there. How you doing, Taladia?
I'm good, man. Hey, it's early for me, so I kind of can't catch a stream finally.
Yeah, yeah. I tried to I had this is WrestleMania weekend, so
Yeah,
as soon as I get done here, I'm setting up for a wrestling event tomorrow. That's going to happen live in our place, so I can't be doing 11 and 30. The kind of streams I've been
usual.
doing normally because I got to get up
Yeah.
early and I got to get out of here early. So I had to do this one at 8 o'clock. Hello, Clint. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I'm late. I don't know if I'm gonna have Brad or not because he had some weird thing going on with him. So and he was trying to get me to do it at 11 o'clock, and I'm like, I got to be like done with my whatever setup by then for tomorrow. So I am going to go ahead and hit play. For those of you who want to watch, it's on the link for Twitch is tied to the top of the chat, and go ahead and click on that, and then I'm going to go ahead and start in about 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Here is the finale of Daredevil.
I seen it. I watched it before the show, and all I have to say is, yeah.
Yeah, so did I. I actually had it playing in the background. Oops,
I know. I was watching you watch it.
Is it showing up for you guys on Twitch? Whoever's watching there, is anything Twitch today?
Yeah, it's showing up on Twitch for me.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
In my opinion, there was only really one good thing about this episode.
What was that? I thought it was a good. As far as finales goes, I'll give my quick opinion afterwards. I thought it was more of a continuation than.
Yeah, don't worry. I won't pull a Brad.
William Aaron's in the back.
No.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going, Claudia?
hey, it's been a long time.
Oh, yeah, it has.
How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, thank you very much.
been a pretty warm autumn at the moment here.
Yeah, it's just turning summer here.
I'm just dreading the inferno that's coming.
Oh yes, because of Vegas.
This episode was particularly violent. That's the I mean, they might have like overdone it in the violence in this episode. So,
You know what I think?
Go
I
on.
think there's a lot of psychologicalness to the show.
definitely.
More so with more so with this one compared to Netflix.
Well, there's the struggle of Daredevil wanting to kill the shit out of everybody and not killing everybody because of his religion. And that gives the character depth.
Yeah, it's my karate master. What's up, Brad?
What's up, man? Well, you could have said that about Aaron too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Aaron's like, "What am I, chopped liver?" Is that what? Can you give me a timestamp?
I'm watching on Twitch.
Okay,
So-
gotcha. I'll just pull up on Twitch then.
You've been good though, yeah?
Yep. Actually, just got out of the shower a little bit ago before I came on.
Okay.
Kingpin to be wearing white and Jennifer to wear red, because if you mix red and white flowers together, it It means death.
Well, it was nice having Brad on for a minute.
Where'd Brad go?
I have no idea. He might be in the back, maybe.
He went poof.
Well, it's probably it's StreamYard's messing up, so it might have kicked him out.
It was nice having Brad on for a minute.
Did StreamYard crash on you?
Oh yeah, a little bit of a hiccup there. William, you mute, man.
Someone cut the string to his.
Did your StreamYard kick you out, or did
Yeah,
you
it's just that hiccup, so I was able to just get back on.
It's been a problem tonight.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this theory you have about like StreamYard, like it's selective about which YouTube channels it decides to be a little bitch over, basically. I was eating my jail style brownie when that scene happened. Azteca says, sorry, but I think top live action Punisher's best fight scene, Punish versus Russian, is yet to be. Yeah, that was pretty awesome in the Thomas J one. That was pretty good. And my favorite part of that is when he tries to throw the hand grenade out to the Russian, and the Russian just bats it back into the bathroom, and all he has time to do is just like crawl into the bathtub to survive.
What Russians you guys talking about?
Oh, Azteca brought up something that probably you're not too thrilled about.
Oh, he's bringing up those vigilantes that were dressed as a Punisher, as opposed to the actual Punisher we're watching in this show. Okay.
I interviewed one of those guys, by the way. I interviewed Thomas Jane about 3 years ago.
That does great things for me right now.
He's a lot of fun. The way I describe him, he's kind of like the closest you'll ever get to meeting like a real life sort of Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China. Like you're one of those, like that's kind of his personality. He's like, I'm not saying I've been everywhere, but it was a pretty amazing planet we live on here. Man, have to be some kind of fool.
So the sidekick, not the main character, then.
Well, I'm just likening his personality. Okay, it's not an indictment on like his.
Oh no, I'm just saying. You said Jack Burton. Jack Burton was the sidekick. He wasn't the hero.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the beauty of the show, of the movie. He was the sidekick, and he thought he was the hero.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing as as Kato with the Green Hornet.
I don't know about anyone else, but Twitch is like lagging.
Yeah, it's freezing up for some reason.
We're about the 17-minute mark anyway.
Yeah, same here. I didn't know whether it was my internet or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just me.
Well, that's why I brought it up.
Thank you, Clint.
Yeah. William, when you get back, we got a little issue with Twitch.
I always try to help, even though Brad thinks I'm the devil.
Well, I mean, I only think of the devil because you look like a devil, that looks like a duck.
With the duck.
Yeah,
But
you're
it's
the duck
not
devil,
duck
man.
season. It's not duck season. It's rabbit season.
No, duck season. Oh, William hiccup there too. Yeah, he might be off like trying to fix it right now. Maybe that's why he stepped away. Okay. Well, okay. We're gonna have to wait. Oh yeah. Now we just got the load. Well, Twitch and StreamYard are just being little bitches with us tonight, trying to finish Daredevil.
I think it's William's internet.
Yeah, that might be it, because he said his laptop was getting a little bit iffy. All right, while we're waiting for William to return, Aaron, so Brent Foster is awesome, isn't he? In the Raid esque Life After Fighting, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
I shot Aaron a couple of things about when I was talking about that. I did that list on Zack Snyder's UFC movie, and I for comic book, and I list off.
Are you excited for that? Are you excited for the UFC film?
Oh, big time, yeah. And so I just did a feature where I talked about here's 7 people who'd be really good for for that, and Aaron wasn't as familiar with Yanin or Marcos Aurora, both of them I had on the list. So I was like, okay, let me shoot you some of their stuff. And Gija's in something I'm really massively looking forward to this year called The Furious. So waiting on that. And then I also put Henry Cavill on that list too, because he's like, I think he fit right in on that. I was like, I could see Henry like,
doing the jab thing.
yeah, with the punches from Mission Impossible. Yeah.
You know, I hate UFC. It's just always just I call UFC grown men hugging because that's all it is. But boxing is so much more.
But there's a lot more. There's grown men also kicking and punching and
but it always ends up with them on the ground hugging each other.
No, actually, these days it's actually about 70-30 them dudes on their feet kicking and punching. There's still a lot of grappling involved, but these days it's kind of the paradigm's kind of shifted in the other way, where it's like now they're fighting upright a lot more. I think it's because
the last UFC, Paddy beat his opponent striking.
Yep. One guy. Are you familiar with this gentleman, Aaron? His name is Raymond Daniels. He's fought in Strikeforce. He's a kickboxer. He actually was in this organization called World Combat League a while back that Chuck Norris actually founded. That's how I discovered him. He hasn't jumped into UFC, but I really hope he does at some point, because that guy is out of this world.
Ooh.
I mean, I'll just shoot you like his highlight reel because he's had a very successful career both kickboxing and MMA, and he's like, I mean, it's like again, watching him in fights is like watching like fight scenes out of the show we're watching, or that we were watching before Twitch decided to not cooperate.
Yeah, pretty much everybody on that card that I liked won, which I was really happy.
Yeah. Oh, I think William's coming back in.
And you had
Fourth is also here saying hello.
Did it crash on you guys too?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
I restarted it. I didn't restart it, but I left off where it was, so that's where we're at.
We refresh that. We were talking about while you're gone, we were talking about like the tea and crumpets and all that good stuff.
Any more Oreo shakes? Yeah, I did get Oreo. I had it before.
Okay.
They were talking about grown men hugging in a ring.
We were talking about Zack Snyder's UFC movie and the thing I wrote about that on Comic Book.
Tattletale.
I don't know how much Zack Snyder's UFC I'm going to be talking on the Sci-Fi Center since it's UFC. Not science fiction.
Well, we talk about wrestling.
Yeah,
that's a little bit different.
Well,
you know what the main difference is between UFC and wrestling for me is?
Go on.
I watch wrestling.
Yeah, well, you know what the difference. But you know what the big difference between the UFC? Well, I do watch some for wrestling, so I was like, I get. Well, you know the difference is that okay, let me get back to you on that, because there's 1,500 other differences that I could list. Okay, well, has it started back up yet on Twitch yet? Because I still just see I'm still just seeing the background.
Well, wrestling's a soap opera with violence, and UFC's quote unquote a sport.
All right, there we go. He's in his house.
Okay, there he is. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Matt should go to the UFC. He'd do awesome. Should you see Daredevil in the UFC?
I don't care about the UFC.
You guys, I think it's mute, man. I think you turn the volume up. Okay, there we go.
Okay, I can hear everybody echoing.
Somebody's being through.
Not me. I got the headset on.
I got a headset. It's not me.
I keep mine on mute most of the time.
Okay, it might have been Aaron then.
It's always the down under's fault.
No, it's not. I don't be picking on my sis.
Well, it's always your fault too.
Well, yeah, but I already knew that. It's.
So I can't mute me.
I love that. Why would you take a bullet for the kingpin? That's a good question.
I need to be able to see this. Mute.
Here comes Cannon Fodder Group number 1.
Oh, that goes without saying.
That's all.
I thoroughly appreciate how R-rated this Disney Plus show is.
I might be missing something, but why are all the fights in the dark and hardly be able to see?
Because it's cheaper to film in the dark with fighting scenes.
Well, there's also atmosphere too when you talk about like this character. You talk about like dark superhero, dark setting. Yeah. Hey, Aaron, you know what this is? Raid alert.
Telling Frank to stop is like telling a fish not to swim.
That's
From what I learned of the character from William the Punisher. Fish, stop swimming. Bird, stop flying. Frank,
whoa.
stop. That is the most powerful grenade ever known to man.
Took out an entire floor of building, yeah. I don't know, maybe they threw one grenade into like a bag full of grenades and then. Oh, look who's back. Yeah. I was gonna say to Will. Or that grenade was a pocket claymore mine. that was a pretty powerful grenade. That's why I think, yeah, it's just one grenade. They just had a whole bag of grenades, and they just threw one grenade, pulled the pin, and threw it inside, and blew up like 10 grenades. By the way, this is I'm just mention this to William when he comes back, but this is actually something that's actually canonical with the Punisher, is that he is actually, his pain tolerance is enough that he can actually perform surgery on, or he can suture his own, field dress his own wounds, and without without anesthesia. He can go undergo surgery without anesthesia. Yeah, William. So when Frank was like suturing his wound there, like that.
Yeah, I heard you.
That's something that's canonical. His pain tolerance is that high that he could like undergo surgery without anesthesia.
Yeah, he routinely takes bullets out of himself, without deep bullets, without hurting himself.
You really shouldn't take bullets out of yourself if you can't.
You shouldn't get bullets in yourself if you can avoid it too, but that's kind of hard in Frank's line of work.
There's a lot of people who have been shot that they just leave the bullet there.
Yeah. Well, he's probably
there was a U.S. president that got shot, and his surgeon actually was the one that killed him because they would try to get the bullet out. If the
Lincoln.
bullet would have stayed.
They did that to Lincoln.
Oh, so it was two of them.
Yeah, Lincoln might had a chance to survive if it wasn't for his surgeon.
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Now I got the theme song stuck in my head.
Go Gadget, helicopter head. Inspector Gadget was a cartoon version of Get Smart.
It's weird because as a kid, I actually used to think when I was a kid that the Inspector Gadget was meant to be like a parody of RoboCop, and then I realized, like, oh, Inspector Gadget actually came first.
Yeah, the voice of the Inspector Gadget, it sounds almost exactly like the guy in Get Smart.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the Haim Saban, who created the Power Rangers, he actually made the theme song to Inspector Gadget.
I wasn't aware of that. By the way, that movie, they made into a movie. That movie was horrible. The Disney Inspector Gadget, that was bad. Oh, Matthew Broderick, that one sucks. Wait, is this the first time Karen's been back on the show since? That's the first time since like the second episode. She's back this season, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have held her off on her for quite a little bit. Come on, just go ahead and tell us. Come on, tell us Foggy's alive. Come on. I bet that's like all that footage there. That's like I bet that's like real life like riot footage. They utilized for the show. I bet it's like real. I bet those are like real riots they pulled that from. Yeah.
Well, at least that scene explains Foggy's death.
Yeah. You mean Foggy's death? Whoa! Oh my, Frank. Look at yeah. Yeah, Aaron's reaction said it all. Frank, you gotta get some therapy, man. Oh man. Oh, you got my hopes up there for a second. There was a black man named Luke in the driver's seat. I thought that. Oh wait a minute, is it that Luke?
That would have gone off the charts as the dumbest thing that they could have ever done if that had been Luke Cage. That would have literally created its own atmosphere of stupid if they had done that.
He let me down there. I was like, oh, so I don't know. Okay, it's not.
No, because that would have shown you that they didn't know what they were doing.
Anthony, we are right after what's that timestamp? Right where all like the Punisher cops have Frank tied up.
Atmosphere of stupid.
Yeah, that would have really been dumb.
Are you sure that Atmosphere of Stupid, that's not the title of the Scary Movie franchise?
Boy, you keep bringing that up, Brad.
Well, you gave me the perfect title. You gave me
the
perfect title.
Not too many tricks in the bag.
You gave me the perfect title for that, and the perfect title for that. The other one is Nirvana. I could do this all night.
No, you can't. Please keep your day job.
Please keep your day job.
I can do this all day. William, who do you think is going to be the MC version of the? Well, he's not even the guy. I don't think he doesn't want any defenders. Like, if you're asking William, it's like he doesn't.
No, they're not going to be. They're going to be the same leftovers from the previous show, and you'll see them as guest stars on shows. But I don't think you're going to see them featured at all.
Well, for anybody just joining us, like I was like massively crushed. Where it's like the guy gets into the car and like has a driver who is a black man named Luke, and it's like that was like the perfect opportunity
to do something dumb. Yeah.
What some call dumb, others call brilliant. And so I'm going with the latter.
That would not have been brilliant. Nobody was going to call that brilliant.
You would have been an island on yourself, man.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
What the real atmosphere of stupid was that Blue Origin space troop with Katy Perry and Gal King and all that stuff.
Wait, you should patent that now. Like create like atmosphere of stupid shirts. Like make that part like the Sci-Fi Center. I mean, come on. Like nobody else has coined that term. Like find a way to like market that.
Well, if you're wearing that shirt, that means everywhere around you is stupid.
God, I thought this guy here. I thought that was J.K. Simmons for a second. Ooh. Okay, so everybody watching right at the part where the Kingpin like crushed the dude's head and like made his jaw snap off of his face.
And he did that with his bare hands.
Is that even humanly possible?
No, that isn't impossible.
No, William, you're mute.
That is impossible.
Shouldn't be.
It is. Just take an egg and try to squish it with your hand. I mean, you can't really squish it with your hand. The egg's got a really thin layer.
Yeah, they weren't kidding when they said this is just way more brutal than Netflix.
I feel like I'm watching one of the Terrifier movies.
Terrifier.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, you want the 3Ds or in this case, the double Ds. And by the way, I know somebody's gonna clip that and like call me a sexist pig. It's like, no, they're called his double Ds because he has 2 Ds.
Oh, what are we doing?
Oh, did it do it again? Oh no, there it goes.
It's it's pausing a little bit because of the relay.
Oh, that's pretty. That's cool. That's a good line. Even looking up at the stars, to him, it's like 1,000 suns.
This was a good episode. It was a good setup episode. It wasn't a good finale. It wasn't.
We're not-
It wasn't a good
we're not-
place to leave off.
Well, we're not quite done yet.
Yeah, we're not quite done yet.
You can feel this halfway through that it's a setup episode.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. What was that? What was that, Daredevil? We need an army. We need an army. Yeah, it is definitely better than the last 2 episodes. I think. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's definitely that's a low bar, but yeah, this one was
Well,
significant.
that was the mandate for this episode. Like, this had to be better than the last 2.
She's borderline useless. Her character.
Yeah, I'd agree there. This is ending on a cliffhanger, isn't it? This is going to be a cliffhanger there because they're already filming season 2. So that this is going to be. It's not going to end like, and not like a cliffhanger like a More's Coming. No, this is going to be like we're ending like in the middle of it, kind of cliffhanger.
Ah, Brad being Brad.
I
missed you.
I didn't spoil anything. This would be like speculating, like, oh, we got 15 minutes left. This is how I think it's going to end.
Is a phrase from a certain president earlier in the early 2000s. So, speculation. Speculation. Oh, the good old days.
Yeah. Martial law declared by a mayor. Yeah.
Isn't that supposed to be like the president? They're supposed to do it, or at least a governor.
Yeah, it's the governor of the New York that would have to do that.
Well, he might have. Well, I mean, he might have like gotten into his pocket, or might gotten him on like on his side, or blackmailed him somehow.
Side, yeah.
There is a post-credit scene, by the way, so don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
if you guys are watching.
I haven't seen it, but I did see that that's floating around out there. So
Now, what they did here kind of mirrors back to the Jonathan Bendis era. When he basically got the city on his side. This I thought was a bit over the top.
with all the people in the cages.
Yeah, I didn't get to. I mean, yeah.
Are they all vigilantes, or what's the idea there?
No, they're all people that didn't agree with him.
Oh, so they're like city officials.
Yeah,
and Frank Castle.
Yeah.
So like people on the mayor's enemies list, basically.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, that's not even comic book to do it. It's kind of just silly how you're doing it.
I'm really just loving how Vanessa's has gotten more and more evil since season 1.
It's like this is not the Vanessa I know.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the Vanessa you know in season 1. That's for damn sure.
You've got freaking artwork that has blood on it.
No, that's the painting from season 1 that he's looking at in the art gallery when they meet. But that's just it's called like Rabbit in the Snowstorm, I think. But then he killed somebody in front of it and their blood splattered on it, so it's kind of gotten a Kingpin makeover.
I still don't understand why someone like the Kingpin would kill the commissioner. Why he didn't have one of his underlings do it.
Could they really, like, if you're talking about a curfew, like 8 o'clock at night, how long can they maintain that for? I mean, Because you got businesses that normally would be open later than that.
It has to be like needs essential, like during COVID.
Yeah, this is not meant to be a tidy like wrap up. This is meant
No.
season 1,
This
season
is
2.
when they filmed this. They wrote this while they were doing everything else. They don't realize that we gotta wait.
No, this was season 1, season 2. These were meant to be like a part 1, part 2, like movie kind of setup.
So we don't have to wait like
a year.
A year. Wow.
I mean, that's what I would expect. Yeah.
All right, so there's something else coming. There's only the one post-credit scene, so it's kind of obvious. I think you know what was going to happen with this. So.
Oh yeah, I saw what was happening with this coming down I-15.
I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out for you guys.
Yeah, I thought there'd be some kind of cliffhanger, but I didn't think it'd be like this. Like it's a cliffhanger. Like this is like middle of the story kind of cliffhanger.
Yeah, I don't think I think they meant to kind of resolve things and bring them to a next level, but not leave you hanging. Which I'm all right with, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be a neurosurgeon to figure out what the difference is.
Daredevil season 2, season 2.
I mean, what else could have happened here? What else is going to happen there? This show has the dumbest law enforcement and the dumbest guards of any show I've ever seen. He's in a cage for a reason, and you're going to reach into the cage?
Here's my hand. Just like, have at it, dude.
All right. Well, that was season 1 of Daredevil Born Again. I
think it's more fair to call it part 1 of Daredevil Born Again.
Well, yeah, I mean, for our Frank Castle kills everyone. Just about. I mean, he found new ways. The hammer scene. I saw the hammer scene in the preview, but it just he went on he had a field day.
That now the way that ended, that really says to me like that Punisher, like One Shot or whatever it's called. That's going to be like taking place between these two, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably takes place right after he kills everyone in that building, and then
it's probably going to overlap. I would imagine like that's what we just saw. That's how it begins. That's what
I mean, like I said, good episode. Not something I would have ended the season on personally, but they on the flip side of this, they didn't really leave you hanging, knowing that it might be a while. I don't know. I think this might be one of the quickest. There's not too many of these shows where they're filming the second season before the first one even airs, so we might get this sooner than later. I mean, I
think you might get this before the year's out.
Possibly, because they're done. I mean, they're pretty much wrapped up.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, usually some of these shows, they don't even, like Game of Thrones, they don't even start filming until people have had their vacations and, gone on to other roles. Then they come back, and that's why you got like a year and a half.
But going into it, I thought it would end I thought it would end somewhat like season 3 of Netflix did, where it's like has the surgery that Bullseye's undergoing, and it's basically teasing, okay, here's where we're going next. But this ended. This kind of ends the same way like Superman and Lois season 3 ends, where it's like you can tell it's like they're already committed to the next season with how it ends.
Yeah, well, and the fact that they're showing you images from the next season with her with red hair and all this other stuff that goes on.
Him in the Shadowland suit.
Yeah, which I don't think they're going to do that story. I think they just like the costume.
Well, the fact the city's under martial law now, it's like they might be like doing like some kind of like they might be playing around with like Shadowland a little bit, because the whole thing with Shadowland, for those of you who haven't read, is Daredevil basically he kind of decides he has to become like the new kingpin of Hell's Kitchen, and so they might be kind of like playing around with like the premise of it. And he's also kind of under like a little bit of like supernatural influence in Shadowland too.
Yeah, so which is why I really hope that they just like the costume.
Yeah. By the way, he also said that he needs an army to defeat that king. He needs an army. He needs other heroes.
Those are the people that he walked in with. He's not bringing back the fucking.
There are other heroes that he might need, including like people with like a glowing fist.
The show is called Daredevil Born Again, not Daredevil and His Amazing Friends.
A dude with a glowing fist could be very useful in the city's under martial law.
Some other show where a bunch of people with glowing fists and
who's also a vigilante, by the way.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I don't think that Disney is going to flirt with those guys with Daredevil. There's just no reason to right now. There's just enough going on in the show. He has the supporting cast there. You saw all those people in that bar were all people who have gone through it with the Kingpin and been screwed by the Kingpin. That's his army. That's the only army he needs.
Yeah, but none of them can have a glowing.
I don't need Iron Fist. I don't need Luke Cage. I don't need. And the more they added to that, the sillier and less serious I could take Matt Murdock. He was always the butt of the jokes when they were there, especially when Jessica Jones was there. I hated their dynamic. It was like,
William, all those people, can any of them punch through a armored truck with their fist?
So what?
But that skill might be very useful against the Kingdom.
Okay, you gotta separate things that you like and things that'll fuck up a show.
I'm thinking tactically here, fighting the Kingpin.
Okay, what about entertainment wise? They didn't entertain me when they had their shot, so why would I want to see them again?
You can't think about entertainment wise when like you have a city to save.
Okay, never mind. I don't want. I ain't even engaged with you in this nonsense. All right, guys.
They can always bring in Tom Holland.
Yeah,
they're not going to.
See, that's where I think it's really going to be. Even if they don't.
Why are we bringing in these people? We don't need these people.
But they need to answer the question of like, okay, like Daredevil, since they've now properly tethered the show to the MCU proper, he's not the only vigilante operator. I mean, and I get what you're saying, William, about like this is Kingpin. He's doing like he's casting the net wide for this one fish he wants to catch, but this still impacts other heroes. But
it's just like the comic book. You don't need to do that. It's just like I got 5 comic books that all take place in Lower Manhattan, and I can read each and every one of them I can read an episode of or an issue of Fantastic Four, and I never see Daredevil. I can read an issue of Avengers and then never see, in any of these others. No, it doesn't.
Yep, C squared.
So no, you don't need to. See, here's where you guys are starting to fuck up the show. This is what clutter is.
Don't forget Daredevil. Don't forget Daredevil and Spider-Man have similar or the same villains. There's a crossover.
That doesn't mean, like I said, you have literally all of these people operating in New York, and you never see them with each other unless there's a story for them to be with each other.
Yeah, like the city being under martial law because the
city's been under martial law and Marvel Comics 1,000 times, and whatever hero is in that comic book is the only one that handles it.
And how many times has it happened in a TV show? Once.
But you're using it for some justification that, just because you're in New York, you must be the fucking Galactus. Galactus steps on New York City, and the only villains there are Fantastic Four.
William, I didn't write the script. I'm not the one who set up the.
No, but your justification for bringing it in is stupid. It's
not justification. It's
what's Spider-Man and Daredevil gonna do with Galactus? They're gonna be sitting this one out and say, "Right, you guys gonna be doing it." Yeah.
Just because they're in New York doesn't mean you need to see them in every story. That's why fans don't produce stuff. This is the thing, is because
Anthony has one here. William, do you think Poindexter is going to try to get revenge on Fisk?
Yeah, I thought he was going to do it this year and kill her, but it didn't happen. This is why fans don't produce these things, because We want to, like I said, go into the refrigerator and throw everything in the refrigerator into a salad, and it ends up being the nastiest salad.
I didn't write the line about needing an army. I didn't write the line about needing an army.
This is why. Just because you saw some shit somewhere and you liked it doesn't mean you need to bring it. Not everything needs to be brought into each other. You know, sometimes yes, sometimes no, most of the times no. So no, I don't need to see everybody that Daredevil's ever been on a page on in any other episode. If the story fits, yeah. If it doesn't, like I said, why do I need to see him?
He might have just decided
it's not a story.
He might have just decided this because I doubt that we said army. He's going to be getting like Nick Fury and the Avengers in there.
He had the army. It was there. The army he was talking about was there.
Yeah. Let me go add this comment. The fourth head here.
Well, what a spectacular army is that?
Where's
because they are all in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, a bar full of underemployed nobodies. That's the perfect army to fight the Kingpin with.
So I was going to bring this up.
Wow,
it's going to be short.
Really
it's going to be a shortest season next season. Anyway, it's not going to be. I think it's 8 episodes apparently.
Well, this is 9. So, what is that confirmed?
Yeah, according to people that I know, they've told me that it's 8 episodes.
So it's 1 episode shorter.
Yeah, 1 episode shorter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not massively truncated from what the
it's
season.
One
is.
season,
or it's 1 episode shorter. Yeah, so.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do a couple of joint ones like they did last time.
Oh, you talking about like putting 2 out over one night? Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could definitely see them doing that.
Well, let's just hope that they'll write. Listen, this is why by the grace of God, I'm so happy that fans don't write this stuff.
I think the people who write this show are fans of Daredevil. So.
Okay, and we just went 9 episodes and without any of the stuff that you guys want to clutter the show with. I think we're doing okay.
I think I can see where. I don't think I saw any Spider-Man.
No. First of all, Sony has to say yes for that to even become a conversation.
Well, I'd see specific setup for. I mean, I suppose that could be I could see that being the whole thing about the martial law and outlawing vigilantes. I could see that being the backdrop. Even that's not like the main story of a brand new day. I could see that being in the backdrop. It's like we see like flashed on a newspaper or on.
You're doing like contortionists to try to reach some shit that ain't there. Why would that be the backdrop of that?
It takes place at the same time, and Spidey's.
So what?
And nobody remembers he's Avenger now. I mean, here's a good one from 4th. Maybe Jessica Jones drinking in that bar.
Okay, so I can't take this seriously, and I don't think you guys are being serious. So
I think it's lying about needing an army.
I'm sorry. The merit of it, you can't even say the silly shit with a straight face. That's when I know it's bullshit.
Right the line.
But like I said, they've printed out hundreds of comics in New York City, and bigger things have taken. Atu the Watcher shows up in New York City, and guess what? Now, I don't see Spider-Man there. I don't see Tony Stark there. I don't see any of the Avengers there. I see the people who were meant to be in the story, the Fantastic Four, and that's it.
Yeah. If London is put on lockdown, do you think that there could be some use in setting the city free by having a dude with an iron fist and like a guy with unbreakable skin and
this is where I got to start editing out shit from the show.
Hey, it's not my fault, William. You can't blame me.
Hold on, I just need the timestamp so I can cut out this entire.
Oh, you can't use the buzzer anymore because you took it out because I was turning it against you.
I can actually make it so that you can't use it, and I can.
Get up off next episode.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so let's hope they keep on the same trajectory and they don't clutter the show because, like I said, this ain't Netflix.
Here's William. Can you explain to me at the end of episode 8? It kind of confuses me why would Matt
watch it? Didn't you watch it?
Say Fisk or his wife? Why not let Poindexter kill Wilson's wife?
Because that's not who he is. That's not who he's ever been. He's not going to let someone die. That's the difference between him and Punisher. That's why that conversation had relevance. Why did you take a bullet for him? He had to question himself, but he knew his basic instinct that he is not the type of person who let someone die, no matter who it is. He still has some belief in the system, as corrupt as it is, that it's not going to change him into somebody who is going to let someone be targeted or die. That's just not who he's ever been.
Even if the guards there, that party sucked.
Yeah, I mean, that's a better question of how he got in there and got that close and got that weapon and that shot, and nobody stopped him.
Well, somebody got fired that night.
Well, he probably killed him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Fisk. Yeah, he probably. He's like, well, I mean, yeah, like you put me and my love of my life in danger. Let's see.
And even still, Kingpin was ungrateful. Said, "Fuck him, kill him anyway."
They're in New York. They're hunting heroes. It kind of makes sense. I don't like the team ups, but it's 1+1.
Nah, there's no reason for it. There's no that's a zero sum reason for why you would just because you want to see Spider-Man along Daredevil because it's cool.
Aaron,
that doesn't mean that it fits the story.
Aaron, if Sydney is ever put under martial law, do you think they would be useful to have like?
Aaron, if Sydney ever has giant radioactive anything stomping on you, you know you're not in a comic book anymore. So the question is not really relevant. We're talking about real life versus the way comic book stories. This is a comic book story have been written. They're all in New York. Unless you're the West Coast Avengers, they're all in New York. They're not tripping over each other.
Well, you said this earlier. I don't know, it's like I brought your comment up earlier.
No, people are just trying to screw with me now. He's just trying to make me.
He
knows I don't recognize those Punishers as Punishers.
Well, this had a pretty awesome Punisher fight when he's fighting like the Punisher cops. Then, which, by the way, that's
fighting them or killing them.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it was pretty one-sided, and that actually because that did pretty much end the way you expected it to, where they're all taking on his symbol, and he just says, "Hey, I don't endorse what you guys are, trying to spin me into."
There's 2 L's in that name, everybody. Doesn't matter. He doesn't see himself as the executioner. He does not see himself as the executioner. That's why Punisher is there. That's why the contrast between the characters is there. I mean, he had just enough. He could have snapped her neck. I mean, he's not the executioner. That's why, that's the path that he doesn't. That's the problem with him dropping, throwing what's his face off to. In the comic, he drops him off because he knows how high up they are and he knows the fall is not going to be fatal. But in here, he's just tossing him off the roof.
You're talking about when he throws Bullseye off of the roof at the beginning.
When he does it in Daredevil 181, he knows how high they are.
I think realistically that fall should have killed him though.
I think that fall would have killed him in combat. Yeah, where he's at, the way Daredevil drops him, yeah, he knows it's not going to kill him. That's why he drops him because he's not there to kill Bullseye.
Oh, William and Ben Affleck. These are fictional characters.
They're fictional characters. Like I said, they're not going to do anything that doesn't fit their story. I mean, like I said, if Spider-Man doesn't fit the story, if Iron Fist doesn't fit the story, just because some fan wants to see him, that's not good enough.
Yeah, it'll hiccup their way.
Yeah, I mean, just because you want to see a character, because wouldn't it be cool? That's not the basis of a story. I mean, that's how you kind of mess up.
I wasn't the one who said that. But I wasn't the one who said that. It was whoever wrote the line, but we need an army.
Yeah, and then you jump to a goofy conclusion that it was the Defenders. That's just.
Oh yeah, so again, like just the underemployed, like people like bar hopping that you see at the end. That's the army, okay.
Okay, so clearly you have not read enough Daredevil to understand what.
I've read plenty of Daredevil.
Not enough.
I know where that came from.
You're asking me this question. If you don't know what the context of what he was doing in that scene, you read some Daredevil, but you didn't read where the narrow area where he's talking about. Remember when you were on my screen when we went over that same exact story where he drew that from. So you read some stuff, but you didn't read enough if you didn't understand what he needs. I need an army. Well, that's not what he was saying.
When you've got an army, it's like who's got the AR-15?
Okay. So you haven't read Daredevil. That's all I needed you to say.
What's an AR-15?
For those of you who are
what's an AR-15? What's the equivalent to an AR-15? Like a regular fist or one that glows?
He says, "I need an army." All right, go back to Daredevil Volume 3, number 74 to 76. When he sits down with those people at the counseling meeting, and Kingpin is trying to tell everybody, all the civilians, of how these mass vigilantes are ruining the city, ruining their lives. And Daredevil's sitting in on that meeting, and he's like, "No, it's not me ruining anything. Who's done this to you? It's the Kingpin. Each and every one of you have some kind of abstract story about Daredevil, but you all have horrific ones about the Kingpin and what they've done, and thumb you're under." And that episode or the issue where he said, "I am your God," that one red cover that I brought up that day, and that was done for a reason. He did that because he was trying to tell the people of Hell's Kitchen that you were so ready to sell everything out for the kingpin who does nothing but step on you. What's one less god? And then he tells him, I'm one person. I can go out and beat, one individual at a time. I can break one individual at a time. But the kingpin has an army. This is your city. You're my army. And it's not, and it is the normal guy. It's the bartender that's getting shaken down. It's the homeless person that gets beat up because Kingpin doesn't want them on that real estate. It's all the people that the Kingpin's blackmailed. It's all the people who are having their public works taken away because so that he can do a pet project while their buildings fall apart. It's all of those people. That's his army.
But none of them can punch through a truck with their fists, which would
They
be
don't
very
need
useful
to. They didn't need
against
to.
the Kingpin.
Okay, dude. Now I know you're just fucking around. They didn't need to, but that's when he says that. That's what he means. Daredevil is more of a symbol of Hell's Kitchen. Him beating one criminal at a time is not going to stop anything. And what he was trying to say is until you guys rise up and revolt and rebel and use the exact same terminology as he did in those comics, until you guys have enough of this, it's all I'm doing is knocking around one skull at a time. Even Frank Castle can't kill everyone. It has to be the people. The people have to expel Wilson Fisk and what he's about, not just a mass vigilante. And that's what he was trying to say there. So yeah,
He's trying to become a politician.
No, he's trying to use a reverse psychology. He's like turn all this anger and hatred for all these other things at the person who's caused it. If you guys unite, he can't stop you. Kingpin can't kill everybody. He can't blackmail everybody. So that's what he means. And those people that were in there, that cop, the bartender, all those people were the everyman, were basically the avatars of all that live in Hell's Kitchen. And then the way they expanded it to where it wasn't just those people that were directly involved with Daredevil. It was the whole city. You saw each and all those people and all their that one guy, the homeless guy that got arrested earlier on in the episodes. You saw him walking across the street. Every one of these guys is being screwed by what the Kingpin is doing to the city. And they made sure that they showed to all of them. So, no, and when you have a story like that, you don't need to bring in anything else. You have
war.
How are they going to be? How are they going to fight Kingpin though?
Exactly, unless any of them have one of these
glows.
You're asking a legitimate question. Brad's being a bonehead. So I'm going to answer your question. Okay, there's a lot that they can do. There's a lot that they did. They were the eyes and the ears of everything. When Kingpin needed support on one thing, there's a lot of stuff that the groups of people can do when they're not living under the fear of the Kingpin. Once again, he can't kill everyone. He can't kill everyone. And once the examples he made no longer stuck, then he lost his leverage. And that's what allowed Daredevil to go in and basically take him. The foundations of the Kingpin and Hell's Kitchen or Manhattan is fear. And once they stopped being afraid, he didn't have any power. And then it was just him and Daredevil. And Daredevil took him down.
The thing with something like that, you will have to have like some sort of political leader to look up to.
No, you just not. Well, Daredevil was a symbol. They were
the oppressor. That's how
politically,
it's done.
You're almost like somebody who's like the king of Harlem.
So so it's pretty much. It has to be politics.
No, it needs to be constituency. It's the people. That's his message.
Oh, here's an interesting one from also President Ross won't allow. Yeah, this is interesting. Like again, like how much? Because again, now they're not playing. They're not.
A governor can declare martial law without executive.
And rational. Where's this other one from rational? Yeah. Okay. I live in New York City, and you can't declare martial law without the approval. Which again, that suggests this Kingpin, like he's either brought the governor of New York to his side, or he's somehow blackmailed them, or he's.
If a mayor picks up the phone and declares martial law, it's usually part of a support network that mobilizes more assets on the state level, like the National Guard, state level resources. You usually just don't declare martial law you usually it's part of resources that the governor empowers any given mayor for.
I thought of this too. Maybe they could. This would be a little bit. Like long stretch after the fact, but I was thinking like maybe like Fisk was able to like the way he facilitated this was like he spoke to the governor, and he got like I guess like a localized version of the Sokovia Accords implemented in New York.
Nah, he would just have to have the governor declare. The governor would declare martial law. Once a governor does that, then the local municipalities are empowered beyond that. So if the governor of New York, the governor of Nevada, declares martial law, and it's an executive order that reaches a particular state, then that state's executive or that city's executive now becomes the tool to carry that out.
How often has that happened? Like how often does that happen in real life? Like martial law being declared at least on a city level, like a major city like New York.
It happened during the riots, during the Rodney King riots. It doesn't happen too many times in the United States. Generally, when you have martial law, you have some kind of uprising or something like that, or major protests going around. And
we kind of had the functional equivalent of it when the lockdowns, the COVID lockdowns started. I mean, it wasn't declared martial law, but it was kind of like the same.
Yeah, but you had curfews, you had things like that. Martial law basically is when you're applying military force or local or state military force or something. And cities can do something that's very close to martial law, but it's at the municipal level. It's at the city level. It's not like full on blown.
Katrina.
I know in San Francisco in '89, there martial law, and that's basically to make it easier for the emergency responders and people in law enforcement to manage things and not looting and all that stuff.
Did they do it in Ferguson in 2014?
I can't remember if they did it for Ferguson.
Yeah, I looked that up. I mean, that kind of, again, you're talking about like the situation that martial law would be invoked in. It's like that. I think. So it's No Man's Land story. Yeah, a little bit because No Man's Land, that's a Batman story, but yeah, I can see a little bit of what you're going to there.
Why would the Kingpin not go after Jessica Jones, Luke Cage? He could in their shows.
We also got a super chat from Rachel here. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Hawkeye all live in New York and won't give a damn about fist declaring martial law. They'll fist to kick rocks. or a lot of times what they'll do in comic books is they usually, and for like 50 years, they've explained it away by, well, when you're reading that so-and-so that's going on in that comic, it's not necessarily the same time window as what's going on in this comic. So you can, a lot of times you'll see the little bubbles at the end that say, well, so-and-so took place, and they'll give you the issues. But for the most part, they live in their own worlds unless they don't. Unless the story means that they do. All right, we're about to wrap this up. Martial law is declared. William broke the pen.
All right, guys, I'm about to wrap this up because I really needed to be out of here early. That's why we started this early.
William was texting me earlier about because I was going to suggest doing the normal time, but he was saying no, he wanted to go ahead and do it earlier tonight.
And I was able to be there for the finale. So
yes, awesome. Or the part one finale, because again, it's like I don't even like call these at this point like season 1, season 2. I call them part 1, part 2 at this point because that's really the way this ended. It's like it's pretty clear that's like this play is like
so
a
Braden,
part 2.
You're using the word delusional as a joke. I understand what you're doing because you know how I feel about people using that word that 90% of them don't even know what it means. And if you saw us set up to the Defenders in that season 2, then first of all, you're trolling me, so I'm not going to really take it serious. But I didn't see any indication that you would see any of that in there. That's fanboy logic. That's fans wanting to everything in their head. They want to just spill it into a story, and that's the difference between us and people who are like paid to write this stuff. Because
so when we get to Born Again season 2 or part 2, I'd say I should probably. Are you going to fight? Are you going to play fair? We're watching this, and like my boy Iron Fist shows up.
If you fit in the story, fine. If it's just because Brad wants to remember his fanboy fantasies from Netflix, fuck no. That's not a good enough reason. The story comes first. Fanboy logic is not the top priority. The story comes first. If Iron Fist fits in the story that they're telling, fine. If you're just throwing him in there because it was cool, fuck that. That's collect comics. Watch the show. That's good, but don't I don't need you guys writing it because we'll have everybody in there, and soon it won't even be about Daredevil. Like I said, it'll be Daredevil and his spectacular friends or whatever. And I don't see that again. So there you go. No, it's fanboy logic. It's fanboy logic because we're not writing the show. Fans don't have any structure for the most part what they want to see in the show.
You know, the way Far From Home ended, like Peter Parker really needed a lawyer, and a lot of fans like say, there's a really good lawyer out there. And guess what happened?
Okay, so we've had that was 2021. We're in 2025. Clearly, no one has thought that they needed either of those individuals in each other's stories.
But fans made that connection.
The fans did. Who wrote No Way Home? Was it me? You?
Well, somebody was saying Spider-Man.
Okay. Okay, but how you guys are like projecting though? There's no how many defenders were in that bar?
Well, you don't bring the
0. Thank you.
How many of them can punch through a truck?
How many defenders were in that bar?
How many have unbreakable
skin? Not how many Brad wanted to be. Not how many Braden wanted to be.
How many are tactically useful against a villain like the Kingpin?
Whatever. Once again, I doubt the story is going to call for them to be in there, and I doubt that this Disney MCU is going in that direction, unless it's for Secret Wars, and then everybody who's ever had Marvel over their name would be there, but they're not going to be featured. And I don't see where this story is going to where you would see the Defenders. You may see a cameo, like I've always said, but where is the story going?
We almost
to where.
We almost had one. We almost had one to the point where I feel the show is intentionally trolling us.
They probably didn't know. They're probably just not even going in that direction. This isn't the Netflix show, though. I think people forget that. I think you needed to be reminded tonight because I don't know if any other episode that was as violent on Netflix is tonight's episode.
Not even close.
This isn't Netflix. This isn't 2015, 2016. This isn't Netflix. For as good as that show was, there are significant differences in ways of telling stories that they've done.
They introduce everyone in that bar, but if a drunk Jessica Jones steps out.
Okay. All right. So the blinds between silliness has been crossed. All right. I don't think we're going to see those characters. Like I said, a fan will force that reality if they could. A writer does not have the luxury of clutter. If it fits, fine. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Why the fuck did this even come up?
Because the show brought it up. It's like,
no, it didn't. The show in your head or the one that we just spent an hour watching?
Again, I didn't write the line. I'm just saying.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, for those of you who actually watched the show that was on the stream, that's where we're going. We'll see you for this one next year whenever they do this again. But
I think actually now the way this ended, I mean,
it does. Yes, it does.
Yes.
Well, it's definitely got the 3Ds on it.
I mean, and two, in all fairness, Netflix, that we're not in 2015. The way they present these stories has changed drastically.
It's actually funny you should say that too, because I mean, we're at April, now 16th, and mine's and just the other day, seeing float across social media, we just literally celebrated 10 years from when Daredevil season 1 began. So kind of fitting.
That may as well be 10,000 years ago. If you look at where Marvel and Disney, and this wasn't even a Disney show. If you look at even how Disney has structured their storytelling, things have changed in the last decade. Yeah, it's not the same. And like I said, be honest with you, the Defenders, I couldn't stand whenever they were on the screen with him, and he was the butt of the joke. And Jessica Jones just looked at him like every time they were together, she rolled her eyes, and I'm like, I rolled my eyes at that show. So, but like I said, this is Daredevil Born Again, and if I have to explain that to you, we're going to need a little bit more time. They have changed. I mean, I like that's like if you can't see that, all these comic book IPs have changed drastically. There are things that you know that you would not have been able if you'd have put Daredevil Netflix up here now and in the same way just kept it the way it was in 2015. It's not going to work. Not only has the storytelling apparatus changed, people have changed. Your audience has changed.
That reminds me, actually, before we finish up for the night.
You need to sign off eventually.
Because I forgot who I saw leave this comment in here. I'll scroll back real, but yeah, we didn't get like one way or another any kind of confirmation that Foggy is actually still alive.
Foggy's alive.
Yeah, but there's like nothing on the. I'm not saying that I'm disputing. I'm just saying it's like
I don't have any info. He could be dead. Maybe they'll keep him dead. Maybe.
He is he is returning. He is returning in season 2. So just context of that, we don't know. But it's with everything you were kind of indicating, it's like definitely the way I was kind of seeing the show playing. I thought it was going to be before the show wrapped up.
I thought Foggy was going to be the end credit scene, but I mean,
yeah, I thought that too.
Punisher. I mean, I didn't need the Punisher scene because I'm like, okay, of course he's not.
There's no way this guy's going to make it out of alive.
All those other people are screwed. Frank is not staying in the cage. I didn't need you to show me that. You could have showed me that.
But that could have been like the second end credit scene.
Yeah, show me Foggy with some long ass beard, in Idaho somewhere.
I actually kind of
some shit.
I actually kind of expected him to come back in that part when Matt and Karen are at the evidence locker. I actually thought he was like going to swing.
Yeah, he walks in with the file that they needed. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this has been an early night. I will not be back later on tonight because I got some stuff to do. We got a wrestling event tomorrow, live wrestling here at the center. Woohoo! If you're in Vegas, come on by. It's going to be fun. And then Thursday, I will not be available because I'm going to TNA Unbreakable live here in Cox Pavilion. And then Friday, it's going to be a tough one. Didn't mean to do that. So now StreamYard doesn't lock up on something when I don't want it to. But Friday, I am meeting, hopefully, I'll wait in line as long as I have to meet Ric Flair and a whole bunch of other people, get my belt signed. Saturday, same thing. Great Mood is going to be here. Going to get my IWGP. I'm going to be a wrestling there for those 2 days. And then later on, I am thinking of doing, I wish WrestleMania was going to be better. I am thinking about doing a WrestleMania watch party as part of our Saturday. Yeah. It's WrestleMania. I'm looking at this card and I'm like, oh, dude, 2 days.
Horst says he thought I did that.
No, I had it hovering over there. And when you hover it over there, sometimes it just does it. But earlier in the show, StreamYard wasn't responding to anything, and now it does, which is hilarious. So I'm gonna be a wrestling nerd for the next 2 days. So you guys will not see me a lot until Saturday most likely, because like I said, then we'll do WrestleMania, and then you can see my disappointment live as it airs. Hopefully it's better. Hopefully it surprises me. All right, guys. See you in a few.
See you guys.